All right, well, good afternoon, all of my friends and family, and thanks for tuning in to All Access Pass. I'm your cruise host, Jason, and welcome back. Very glad to have you. Today, I'm very excited to welcome a legend, well, another legend onto this stage. I feel like they're all legends at this point, and today is certainly no exception. One of the all-time greats and the former member of Three Dog Night. Put your hands together for Mr. Chuck Negron. Looking good, man. Looking stylish.
Oh, thank you.
Nice shoes, right? Let's start right off with the shoes. I caught him back there when we were chatting. I was like, I said, my man, I love skulls. I do. I love skulls. We both do. My wife and I said, those are absolutely fantastic. And you said there's another man in show business wearing those shoes.
Yeah, was it Nick?
Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon.
Cannon,
Yeah,
yeah.
Nick Cannon on America's Got Talent sports those.
Excuse me, my
Copy.
bag.
Yeah, no worries. Well, let's talk about that for a moment, actually,
Sure.
because I get a lot of questions about it. I saw somebody yesterday, they said, Chuck has air on him. I said, yeah, he does have air. And they said, his glasses, those look very cool. Tell us a little bit about the glasses.
Yeah, well, actually, I have to catch my breath. I have a little cocktail actually going on here. It's a little more than air.
Well-deserved.
At any rate, I lived a pretty wild lifestyle for a while, and there are circumstances. I really just catch my breath. Okay. So anyway, what this is in lieu of wearing the cannulas, which kind of make people uncomfortable. When I'm in airports, you can see some people, like I lost a leg or something. So Amy, my girlfriend, started looking for, other methods, and she found this company that made these glasses, and that the tubing goes through, and the air, comes down the back, and
Very cool.
and and it works.
It's very rock star, is what it is.
Well, I got them colored, so I look debonair.
That was the first word I thought of when I saw you. So all these folks here obviously are here to see you and talk about you. So let's jump in a little bit. If you don't mind, let's go way back. Let's go way back to you being a 15-year-old kid. A 15-year-old kid. Let's talk about the Rondelles.
Yeah. I had a friend that was in music class when they had music classes, and I used to fool around, sing with him, and he enlisted me into a band that he had started called the Rondelles, which are very popular in the Bronx and played for NYU and all the universities around New York, and we had a record out. So I made my first record at 15, 1958. It was a wonderful time. It was a simple time. It was nice. It was a nice time. So yeah, I got it going really young, and got to see a lot of great acts, Little Richard and Jackie Wilson, and so just some wonderful people at a very young age.
And what's it like being at the Apollo as an all-white group at 15 years old?
It was scary. Because it took us down into the bowels of the building to go from one side to the other, and there's stuff going on there I'd never seen. It was a spooky. At any rate, when we went upstairs, the woman before us didn't seem right. I think she was high. I think, and the people were not going for it. They started throwing stuff at her. And then the microphone, this is the truth, started disappearing into the floor, and she's trying to redeem herself. And then a clown with a hook came and got her. And then...
No pressure.
No, then we heard, get the white boys, they're next.
This will be easy, guys. Come on. Yeah. Walk in the park.
Yeah, so we did very well, and it taught me. By the second verse of the song, people were enjoying what we were doing. It really showed me how music transcends all barriers and is a unifying force. In God's world, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I felt honored to be a part of it. And later in life, I found out that basketball and sports also does the same things. It unites people and special things.
Very cool. Very cool. So now we take a step forward a few years.
Good.
To the 68, I believe, Three Dog Night.
I'm not 68. I'm
No,
50,
68, 1968.
55.
Of course you are. 43 and change. 1968, Three Dog Night. How does it start?
Well, we had just. I talked about this earlier. We just let Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson was producing a record for us. It just didn't work out. Brian was a genius, a nice guy too. Except he lived in a tent. I mean, we're talking huge, like as big as this, in the middle of his living room. So he was a little different.
You're very polite, sir.
But so we'd moved on. At any rate, it was very, very exciting. We did our first record in 2 weeks, had it recorded, mixed, and ready for release in 2 weeks. So we were ready, and so it was a wonderful time.
How'd you guys actually come together?
I had met Danny at a party for Donovan. I was on Donovan Leach. I was on Columbia Records. Danny was on MGM. And Corey was also on MGM. And Corey and Danny were friends because they had done a tour for Sonny and Cher. They were one of the acts on the big Sonny and Cher, Dick Clark show. So they knew each other, and I was a solo act. When they were looking for another singer, Danny said, I got a guy that really works. And fortunately, Corey really liked my voice, else I would, I didn't know I was being auditioned, but I was. And plus, Corey and I got along. And, I caught a break. I got in the band.
I think it's a good break for everyone at that point. So how do you coin your sound? Because your sound is definitely a mix of R&B, there's rock and roll, there's almost an urban doo-wop in there. How do you coin that sound? How do you find that Three Dog Night sound?
You know what? It kind of, this is just how I saw it, how it happened for me. That day I was being auditioned, and I thought we were just fooling around. But anyway, we were singing, and we just started singing. And actually, the song we sang was "Keep Me Hanging On," the Holland Dozier Holland song. And we started singing, and all of a sudden, we started breaking off. Corey was singing the melody, and I started breaking off into a higher harmony, and Danny went right into a lower harmony. When we came to the part, keep me hanging on, it just went woo, and like this gift arrived, this something that only could happen with the three of us, and did happen at that moment when the three of us sang together. And from that moment on, we were tied to me spiritually, because we were given a gift. And we all heard it. We went, oh, we got something.
That's very cool. I mean, it's very cool that you don't even know you're being auditioned. You just think you're messing around.
Yeah.
And in reality, not only are you auditioning, you're nailing the role, and you're discovering the sound that is Three Dog Night, all in the same moment.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
That's a very, very cool thing.
Yeah, it was a good day.
It was a good day. For rock and roll in general, I think it's probably a pretty good day. So before we go into too much detail, I want to ask you a little bit about what it's like then becoming a rock star in the 70s. What's it like touring, doing these major tours in the 70s?
Very lonely.
I'm sure. Don't. That was not the Care Bear moment I meant, for the record.
So sad.
Yeah. Name some of the venues you played. Where was your favorite place to play?
You know what? I'm from the Bronx, so when we played Madison Square Garden, sold out Madison Square Garden, you know, it was so much fun. There were friends I grew up with, you know, that showed up, and just of course my family showed up. It was just a wonderful time. So that was one moment, and then the first stadium tour we did, the first night was the Cotton Bowl. 80,000 people. We sold out the Cotton Bowl.
insane.
Then we did Atlanta Braves Stadium. We did all the stadiums across the country. So Atlanta Braves, Three Rivers isn't even there anymore. So those were, you know, were wonderful gigs. But for me, my favorites, in my heart, are the gigs that we did before we were big, when we were opening for big acts.
Sure.
We were opening for acts like Steppenwolf and Vanilla Fudge, and all the acts of the time that were bigger than us, and we were going to win the day. We were out to win the day.
Sure.
And so those were real competitive, wonderful times.
What's it like the first time you step on stage in front of 80,000 screaming people?
Well, you know what? There's a lack of a personal contact. So in a sense, it's much easier than sitting in a room of just a couple of people go, hey, you want to sing, you want to play? You know, no, I don't, you know. But there's so many people. So the gift, I mean, not the gift, but the chore there is to bring them in so you can feel them, so you can enjoy the moment and have a better time. And that's a difficult thing to do. Leon Russell opened up one of our shows, and Rod Stewart opened up a couple of our shows. And Rod Stewart was going, what's going on? You know, he was pretty, not full of himself, but he knew he had something special. And he kind of was very proud of himself.
Not to speak ill, Mr. Stewart, but
No, he's a nice guy. And they didn't know they couldn't get the audience. So we wanted the first people use screens. We'd use screens. So Rod was running all over the place, and you know, it's like TV. It's like being on a TV set, running around in a circle, and some guy just looking in the camera, going, "Hi, I'm Chuck." You know, I mean,
yeah.
So we had to tell him, just look at the cameras, work to the cameras, and they're going to love you. And in fact, you know, it could do, because he was great. He was great.
We actually have talked, anyone that's been in the show earlier in the cruise, we talk about breaking the fourth wall quite a bit, you know, because it is, and especially in a tour show like that, anything in a big room, you don't have that intimate touch.
Yeah.
And so breaking that fourth wall is the difference between the fans feeling like they're a part of your show and feeling like they're just watching it on TV to a certain extent. And so to hear you were one of the first with screens is pretty cool. That's
And the thing about it, in the 60s and 70s, these stadiums, they didn't want us there. They didn't want you there. They wouldn't let us on the fields, on the infields, or anything. So the crowds were even further away than they are today.
Sure.
So hence, that's why we started the screens. We didn't know what a powerful thing they would be and how big events would be. But it's a very tough time, because they didn't want them in the main dressing rooms, which were players' locker rooms. Locker rooms. So it was an interesting time breaking through that barrier.
Fascinating. Do me a favor, don't go anywhere, don't change the channel. We'll be back in just a moment with more with the fascinating Chuck Negron.
The last part, they're going to have questions.
Welcome back. I'm here with Mr. Chuck Negron. When we left, we were discussing massive stadiums, obviously playing in big 80,000 person stadiums. But you've obviously done some more intimate theaters in your day, in smaller rooms. Do you have a place, big or small, that you wish you could have played that you didn't?
No.
You
know
them
what?
all.
I'm sure there is. You know, when I was younger, I wanted to play the Copacabana, but we went right by the Copacabana. I mean, we just, we went from small rooms to it just wasn't big.
Stadiums,
it just wasn't big enough. So the room I wanted to play that I felt was important was the Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset, because everyone. I mean, I saw the Cream there, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I saw everyone. It was amazing. the Who, all the Motown acts. So when I played there, it it was wonderful. And we when they were in trouble, Three Dog Night and Chicago, which both got our start there, we played there for a week for free. And they,
Wow.
because they were in trouble. They were in trouble.
Sure.
And they, they helped us. And for, I don't know how long it was, but when Chicago was out of town and came back, or Three Dog Night was out of town and came back, on the whiskey billboard it said, "Welcome home, Three Dog Night." It was really nice.
That's very cool. So let's talk a little bit about today. You've been doing the Happy Together tour. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, fun tour. I've worked with several acts, Gary Puckett and Cal Sill.
We love them. Yeah, we love those guys.
Gary Lewis, Mitch Ryder, Mark Lindsay.
Love Mark.
Of course, the Turtles, who are really, really great. I had no idea what a singer Howard is, the lead singer in the Turtles. This guy's one of the great, great singers. Every night, we as singers, we all have rough nights. I've never heard this guy have a bad night. I mean,
I don't know what it's
night.
like to not have a great voice every night. What are you talking about, Chuck? I don't know what you're talking about.
At any rate, so it's a fun tour because there's just a bunch of us. We become a family. We travel together, on buses, and we weed out the weak.
It's a cutthroat business.
It's
I'm
a cutthroat
sure.
business. Yeah. And we all sleep in bunks, so there's a lot of gas X that we give around, and we try to keep it nice.
It's part of your welcome aboard packet, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're welcome aboard packet. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're going to release a new album.
Yes, I am.
With your daughters.
Yeah. My girlfriend Amy Albee, who's you see with me, I was talking about doing a new album, and she said, "Well, I can get it started." Blah blah blah. Next thing I know, she's got goes on Kickstarter, and gets $70,000 or $75,000. So I decided I want to do an album with my girls, who have both sung with me since they were little.
His daughters.
Yeah, since
His
my
daughters.
my daughters. Yeah, since they were little kids. My oldest, not my oldest, my middle daughter. I think she's my middle daughter.
That you know of.
Yeah, the jury's out, but is now 23. Oh my God, 23, and she performed with me at the Hollywood Bowl in front of 17,000 people when she was 10, and made a record with David Foster when she was 11. So she was ready, and then my girl then was Annabelle was 13, and she wanted to explore it. She also sung in Vegas with me. Anyway, we got in there, and it was another one of those things when the three of us sang harmony. It really worked. So I have Annabelle, who is now 16, and Charlie, who was 21. Now she's 23. And it's just going to be called Negron, or Negron something else. Or
That's
it could
the
be
title.
changed.
Negron something else. That's actually the title.
The new generation.
And I'm very excited. We have 10 songs. Oh, we have 3 never released Three Dog Night songs, never been heard, that we're all going to put on there as a bonus.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
With the original band, just the original musicians.
And you're also re-releasing your book, I understand.
Yes, yeah. The book, we can't keep it in print. It's, it's done well. So at any rate, I just wrote 10 chapters.
New chapters.
Yeah, 10 new chapters.
chapters, yeah.
10, kind of bringing it up to date, and it dealt more with how I see things that happened in that book now as a man in his mid-50s than I did. I just will not admit how old I am. I won't do it.
You're talking to a room full of peers here, Chuck. These are not.
I know, but
Everyone in this room is 37 and change, so don't
they
worry
understand
about it.
I have to lie. I can't do it. Okay, at any rate, no. Actually, in a couple of months, I'm going to be 75. God. And I feel I don't look a day over 74.
You don't. You don't. Yeah, 70 is the new 50. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. And 50 is the new 30. So really, you're an embryo.
I'm an
you're
embryo.
You're doing well. And interestingly enough, a candy bar.
Oh, yeah. It's another Amy Alby thing. There is a really great shop. It's called Sweet or Sweets. And it has all this great chocolates, and they make bars, and they make bars for celebrities. Many celebrities have these bars. So Amy talked to them, and now I have two different bars. By the way, it's really delicious stuff. And they make a box on the outside that you get to keep as a souvenir, because it's actually quite nice. As a picture of me in a pair of my socks or something. I don't know.
Just one sock.
At any rate, so we have that. We have this. Yeah, we have that. This stuff. They do stuff.
Stuff's good. In percentage of sales go to Cry Help, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yes. Cry Help is still very important in my life. For you who don't know, Cry Help is drug rehab that was one of the only ones that 80% of the beds were free. So needless to say, there was a list, an unbelievable waiting list. So I don't donate numbers to help, the money to help more people get in, because they saved my life. They took me in there for a year, where there's no insurance in the world would pay for rehabilitation for a year. So I stayed in there for a year, turned around my life, and I will never forget them. And I do a lot of concerts for them, and thank you.
If anyone here is interested, can they donate? Can they go online? Can they go to Cry Help?
Yeah, Amy would have that information. It's Cry Help. It's in North Hollywood, California, and I don't know what I'm sure they have.
It's online. I'm willing to bet 100 to 1 it's online.
Yeah, you can
If
get
you want to go,
it.
and it's spelled CRI. Is that correct?
Yes, CRI, not Y. Yeah, that's right.
CRI Help. So,
and the book that I wrote was, in a great deal, was an homage to them, and it's become required reading in many rehabs, because it's a real powerful message, and I'm full of gratitude that what I wrote the book for, in fact, happened.
that's perfect. I doubt many people can say that. A lot of times you write or you produce or you create, and you may not get to the point of what you envisioned it being or becoming. It's got to feel good to be able to say that it is what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, because so many people, as the ball starts rolling, decide what it should be. And so it's very easy
Other people.
Other
decide,
people
yeah.
to divert it from what it was. So, it is. To answer your question, it's very rewarding.
Well, that's fantastic. And congratulations on
Yeah,
that. Very,
thank
very
you.
cool. Do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be answering your questions, Mr. Chuck Negron. Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. More with Mr. Chuck Negron. And I've got to say to you, sir, I've done this for a lot of years, and this is only the second time I've had this many questions from an
really?
audience. Yeah, only the second time ever I've
Who
had
was
this
the
many.
first?
America, just a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Days ago, weeks ago.
nice guys.
How long have we been here? Jiminy Christmas.
Jerry Beckley.
Yeah, and there's two of those guys, so really this is
Jerry
double the
Beckley
amount.
was my neighbor for
Jerry's great.
about 15 years. And then Mark Volman was a neighbor up the street for about 25. Yeah,
It's a talented neighborhood.
Yeah, we live in the retirement community.
I believe they call that the Villages. Yes, that's right. All right, sir. Here we're going to take some questions from the audience. Now, Roscoe is he's a regular on the show. He comes to us from Indianapolis and already asked two of his questions now that I'm looking at this. He said, "Do you have a place that you don't ever want to play again?"
I don't think I should say it. No, well, no, I don't, because it will. Yeah.
What was the experience that made you not want to play there again? How about that?
Well, we went there, and it was beautiful. But on the outskirts of the resort area, there was so much poverty. It was actually very painful to see. And then when we were on our way to the venue, we were diverted to wait because the sound company wanted more money because they'd been offered a job for more money, and they were holding
It's a stick up, basically.
stick up.
Yeah.
And the promoter said no, so they left, and it was in a soccer stadium. People about tore it apart, and we were kind of hiding out for 2 days until our plane left. And then when we left, they wouldn't give us equipment unless we paid a tax, which in a sense was buying it back.
Sure.
So yeah, so I don't want to go there again.
Damn that place. Rob was all the way from Ohio, and Rob says, "We love you. Tell us, what is your favorite song, Three Dog Night or otherwise? What's your favorite song, or one of your favorites? Let's say."
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
There, different times, different moments. One, because of our first million seller, and you never think you're going to have that, and to have that happen. So that one, and then out in the country was just such a beautiful song. And then Mama Told Me Not to Come was the top 10 in the R&B charts, which was not done by a white act. So they all have different meanings. To me, Liar was a special sound for the band that was different. So
What about outside of your own group? What about other artists? Do you have any other artists you love or admire?
no.
Yeah, why would you? Pointless. Don't waste the energy.
Nah, done it all.
Yeah. Who needs them? Damn that Rod Stewart.
That hair.
Yeah. Fake. James from Madison, Wisconsin says, other than the USA, of course, what's your favorite country to tour?
Japan.
And why?
Yeah, it's first of all, it's a beautiful country, and in the cities, Tokyo, and it's unbelievable how beautiful they are. The technologies, the stores, the way they make me feel. There's a graciousness and a humble attitude, and it calms me down and makes me better than because you're caught up in the turmoil of touring, and for me, it just settled me down, and plus, they unbelievably really concerned about how the artist is taken care of, and they're very good to us.
Very true. Sheila from North Carolina says, did you have a hard time deciding, this is a good one, did you have a hard time deciding who would be the lead vocalist on the big Three Dog Night songs?
No.
Shocking.
It's me. I had no problem at all deciding. When the three of us talked, there was a problem. But no, what we did was, on the songs that we wanted to do, we broke them up. Like Celebrate, we took a verse each. Family Man, we took a verse each. Otherwise, we brought the songs in ourselves. So the songs I did, I pretty much just brought in myself, and I brought in Eli's Coming for Corey. So that's how that went. And Jimmy Greenspoon gave Danny Liar, and here's an interesting story. And Black and White was a civil rights anthem that they sang when they marched. And Alan Arkin's father wrote that. I think it's Robert. And he was just a regular old guy. And so we heard that, and Danny brought it to us with some music, and we did it.
It's very cool. Jeff from South Carolina has a very interesting question. After leaving Three Dog Night, how hard was it for you to go solo, and was it better or worse for your psyche?
Oh,
We're digging here. We're digging now.
It was very deep. Too deep.
You know what? It was so hard. Everywhere I went, and I mean everywhere, at the end of the meeting or in the middle of the meeting or at the beginning of the meeting, go, I got it. I know what you got to do. And I'd just be sitting at the end of my seat, and I go, get the band back together. Everywhere. And, it was something that wasn't going to happen, because when I got sober, we sat down and we were going to get back together. I just couldn't put myself in that environment. There was too much. I didn't want to walk back into that craziness. And I was with my father-in-law at the last meeting, and he said, Chuck, what are you doing? And I said, you know what? I would rather just earn a modest living and opposed to, making a lot of money, but putting myself in this insanity. And, he after he was there 2 days, he went, you're right. I swear to God, you're right. They're nuts. Well, Danny and Corey didn't get along. They loved each other, but they were like wives and husbands. They just didn't get along. I mean, not that wives and husbands don't get along. That's just my experience.
That's why you have a girlfriend. Yeah, smart. Robin has a fascinating question. Robin comes to us all the way from Texas, and she says, after all you've been through, do you think that God had a plan for you to be an advocate for others?
Well, I hope that was the plan for him, for me, for him. Thank you. In my heart of hearts, I do believe that. Sometimes the feeling wanes in the sense that if I'm having a physically hard time, I'm going through some stuff, how would I might not even have got to this point, but I have. And the question, a couple of weeks ago, it might even be a month now, I had the honor of to go to Kansas City and speak for the judges, lawyers, parole officers, and incarcerated addicts on my experience with drug use and not drug use, but recovery and the opiate epidemic, which there is now in America. Kids are dying all over in small little towns because it's no longer junkies hiding in the corner. They're cheerleaders. They're regular kids in high school, and they're dying. So I went there, and the reason they invited me was my book is required reading, and it empowered them to teach. And so, so I went. So yes, I believe God did send me here for this.
Playing directly off of that exact point, Mary Ann from New York says, we loved your show last night. You mentioned that you speak to courts and judges about rehab and drug addiction.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking directly at this point. She works in the New York State courts and wants to know if you've spoken with any of the New York State judges.
No, I haven't, but I would love to. I really, really believe, especially with the there is, a serious epidemic of opiate abuse, and a lot of it starts with the pharmaceuticals, and people they don't know how powerful these drugs are, and then they take them until the doctor will give them anymore, and they're hooked, and many of them go get street heroin because they can't take the pain, they can't take the kick, and so and the way things go, we're very liberal about things, and some things we just can't be. We can't just not think that if you make a drug, a gateway drug like marijuana legal, where little kids can get it, and you take money out of the cartel's hands, that they're not going to do something else to make it back. And what they did was put cheap heroin on the streets, and they made all that money back, and our kids are dying.
To go to a heavier topic, Dan from North Carolina says, were you recruited by major colleges to play ball? Everyone, if you don't know, obviously Mr. Negron was a big basketball player back in the day. Were you recruited by major? Where were you recruited by?
I was recruited by Utah State and the University of Utah that I would have had an NCAA ring because Utah won the NCAA championship the very following year. I would have been there. So yeah, that was, it was the biggest school. I was St. John, UConn, most of the East Coast schools, and just a couple in California, and that was because I pushed people to try to get me because my father and the Latin part of my family were all in California, and I took the one real offer that I got to a small school. You guys remember Bill Sharman?
Yeah. Celtics.
Yeah, the Celtics. Well, Bill Sharman was the coach of Cal State LA, and he was helping farm players to the school Hancock College because you could not play as a freshman then. You couldn't play, so you played freshman ball, and it really wasn't that high a caliber. So these schools are 5 high school All-Americans at this school when I got there, and they all went on to big universities. And I went to Cal State where Sharman coach, but left immediately because I got a deal with Columbia Records, and I decided, you're 6 feet, 6'1", you weigh 190, you're gonna get killed, No, I play with big guys that were faster than me. I mean, 6'10", faster than me, and there's nothing like a 6'10", 7-foot guy with his feet. You can hear him behind you,
blowing by you. It's one thing to hear footsteps. It's another thing to hear them getting closer.
Yeah.
Interesting. Here's a story/question.
Okay.
Mike from Ontario, Canada. Concert in the early 70s, Toronto. You came on after T-Rex featuring Mark Bolan. You were banned in Toronto for inciting the crowd to start fires in the stands. I was there, and to this day believed it was the late Mark Bolan that incited the crowd. Do you have a take on this? Bum, bum, bum.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. Mark could get out there, but I don't even know why he would do that. But if that was done, it had nothing to do with us. But that kind of stuff happens in the Denver Pop Festival. Corey got on top of the organ, and we had a little smoke thing that happened when he got there, and they shot him down, and not shot him down. They knocked him down, and the police shot tear gas because the crowd was rioting. They weren't rioting, it was like, so, a lot of stuff happens.
Sure. A crowd parties and it becomes too aggressive.
They were partying.
Yeah. What, Bernice, I believe, from Pennsylvania. Forgive me, Bernice, I believe that's what it says. What is the one, quote unquote, thing you could change in your life if you could?
I would have never done drugs.
And what is the greatest legacy you hope to leave the world with?
Happy, successful children.
That was your Care Bear moment. Yeah. Oh, we don't have time to get through all, but we have time to get through a couple more, and this one's kind of funny, so I'm going to ask it because you said I can ask anything. Sue and Dave from Lake City, we absolutely love you. You've been a rock star forever. What is your best groupie story? You're welcome.
I don't remember.
Best answer possible. Gary and Cindy from Kentucky say, how many concerts do you still perform each year?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's probably good.
No. Let me see. I'll do almost 60 this summer, or maybe this summer it's 50. So, I'm doing around 70.
70 a year.
Yeah.
That's still a lot.
And then I speak. I speak, but I like to take my youngest, to school.
Sure.
Get her up. I get her up at 6:30, and and we go off. Because it's really only, not the only time we get to talk to her, but they're teenagers. So
That was such a knowing comment. Teenagers. Yeah. And everybody here went, yeah, I know. I totally know.
and a girl. I mean.
Yeah. You're 0 for 2 on
A
that one.
beautiful 5'9" beauty. I'm gonna kill someone. I know I am. No, I know it. I'm serious. I'm not messing around.
My,
And I know the look. Don't think I don't know the look.
you're looking around like they might be in the room, man. No one hears you.
I'm just letting them know.
I think we took the point. My dad always said to me, growing up, his story was always, I loved having a boy. He goes, I loved having a boy. I said, why is that, Dad? And he said, because then I have to worry about one boy for the rest of my life. If I had a girl, I have to worry about every boy for the rest of my life. Yeah. Karen, who comes to us from Vegas, this is an interesting question. Did you ever decline a record or song that became big hit for another band?
I think I might have told this, but we had, before it was recorded, All Right Now by Free. All Right Now. We had that. We thought it would be great for Danny, and we started recording it, and Danny just didn't feel it. And we knew it was a hit, but what are you going to do? He didn't like it. So there was that, and here's another one. We submitted this song because I had, done some Paul Williams stuff. We were submitted. We've Only Just Begun, and that was given to me, and I went, this is great. But the only problem was, in Los Angeles, there was a huge commercial with Sandy Duncan, and it was the song. It was a beautiful ad. And it was Only Just Begun. And it was, so nice. So the guys went, no, come on, it's a commercial. I said, it's not a national, So anyway, we turned it down. And as you know, the Carpenters, I think, had the record of the year or something.
You didn't need it anyway.
Yeah.
Joanne from KC says, what is a master song? And which 7 songs are masters?
What?
I don't know. Oh, you said you have 7 masters.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we have...
Confused him. His own question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Let me see, what do we have? We have Naturally... Well, I know we have Cyan. We have Around the World, Live Around the World. God, I can't even think. We might have Harmony. And the last... Coming Down Your Way and American Pastimes. I think that's what we have. So, and what's interesting about that is, and I tell you this story just because it makes me look good.
We're gathering that. We're gathering that.
And anyway, we're in the executive, the president's record company. And we're going, well, we want a bigger royalty rate. And we had already made a deal, little by little. They would give us, if we gave an album on time, we would get a $100,000 bonus. And it was already up to $1 million. And because we did 2 albums a year. 2 albums. It was insane. We were exhausted. We were just...
Now they're like 1 every 4 years, 1 every 5 years now.
Yeah, 2 a year.
Yeah.
So... he said, we can't give you, any more points. And he had this big cigar, and he was just, boys. And he's clicking in, and I'm just like going, oh, you're making me sick. It's just like, it's like a movie of a guy, kind of talking down to you. So there was this candy bowl, and I picked up a candy, and I'm just kind of holding it, and finally I couldn't take it anymore. I hit him in the head with it. This is the truth. But I was medicated, so... So anyway, he goes, could you all leave? And I started getting, you stay. And he goes, you can't do that in front of everybody, Chuck. He was really cool. And I just couldn't take with all that stuff. He says, well, what do you want? What can I do for you? I said, and I just read an article about Ray Charles getting his masters. So I said, I want the masters for the band. And then I can't do that. I said, I want the masters. He said, what about this? Because these record companies think it's over. It ends like that. So from that time on, we made 7 more albums. And he said, anything you make from now on, you own. So we made 7 records, but it wasn't immediately. It was 20 years later. So when we got them, I sent a little paperwork to the record company, and they fought us. Well, they didn't fight Danny Corey's because Danny and Corey didn't come to fight. They actually signed them back over to the guys, to the record company. I took on the record company, and I won. And because I won, they get them as well. They get them, they get them as well. So at any rate, it was just a stroke of luck and a piece of candy,
Story of everyone's life. That should be the title of your next book, by the way. A stroke of life and a piece of candy. Ladies and gentlemen, he took almost an hour when we were supposed to take just about 30, 35. Okay. Do me a favor. World class right here.
Thank you.
Please help me thank Chuck Negron.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Jason. Have a great day, my friends. We'll see you out and about.